All right, man. We are live, sir.
Anton, how are you, brother? How's it going?
Good, good, man. I'm excited. It's been a while. You disappeared on me. But now I know it's for a good reason. You were you were in the trenches working on the AI empires thing. And dude, I'm telling you, I have a million questions for you. So we're really gonna try to keep it under 2 hours. I think that's what we kind of agreed on, yeah?
Brother, I'm excited. I can nerd out on the AI empires all day. I really appreciate you taking the time to set up this interview, and I'm excited to catch up with you. I do apologize. I've been developing like a madman lately, so that's where I've been is just hiding out, building the AI empires and an app on Flutterflow. So
Hey,
it's
man.
been a run.
Yeah.
I appreciate you setting this up, man. It's gonna be fun.
So the last thing I remember from you, you were doing these, um, it was like an insane marathon, dude. Like you were live streaming on 3 different platforms, doing like cold outreach on like LinkedIn and all these places. And the funny thing is like when we were talking, you were like, "Oh, dude, you inspired me to do this and take massive action." Da 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 da. And you literally went and did it, which is like most people won't do it. And then for me, it's been kind of on the opposite. Like I've been consuming a lot of stuff because I still
Hmm.
feel like I'm so new to this for someone that doesn't have like super advanced background on this. That's why I'm excited to talk to you tonight and ask you all these different questions, especially because it's related to AI. And that's like the hot thing out there right now.
Yeah.
Um, but I was impressed, dude. Like you just went for it and you were doing like 6 hour Twitch streams, 8 hour YouTube live, and like you didn't care. Like two people show up, who cares? You know? So that's when we say do the reps, do the inputs, that's what it's all about. And you essentially want to detach yourself from the outcome. You don't want to have any like crazy expectations because you don't want to you know, first of all, nobody knows where it's going to go. But second of all,
Yeah.
I'm teaching my son this now. When he says, I thought this, I thought that, I'm like, why did you think that? Like, what gave you that idea, right? Like, you have no experience for something from something similar before. So why would you build this like crazy optimistic expectation? Like, who told you that I was going to let you play on your little Roblox game for the next 3 hours? Like, did I ever give you any, indication that that was going to be the case, right?
Roblox, I
So
love
I'm
it.
like,
I love it.
so I'm like literally, you sprang the trap and you got caught in your own trap. So in other words, I'm telling him, hey, don't set expectations. That's what we mean in the coaching world when we say detach yourself from the outcome. Just start lifting the weights, and then
Yeah.
whatever happens.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah, so you went to work and it was like fun to watch you do it, and I'm like, man, this guy's a beast. So but this was while you were still in school. So let's talk about the thought process behind leaving school behind, because a lot of people right now, especially within school, are
Hmm.
acting like this is the best thing out there since, you know, sliced bread, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
And it's great. I like the idea of what they're doing. It's definitely early stages.
Hmm.
Like I'm sick and tired of getting to the party late because I've been that way with many things in my life. And I see this opportunity. I see
Uh-huh.
we're early stages on it, and I want to be part of it. I want to use it to grow my coaching business that way. But I've been on it for about 9 months now, maybe 8, 7, 8 months since July, whatever. And I'm starting to see certain things that I'm not super thrilled about. And
Right.
so, if you remember, you made the switch, and because I'm involved in so many communities, like I'm ashamed to say this, like over 40 communities, because I just have to
Hey,
consume, right?
yeah.
But we have this like desire to learn. Um, and then you set it up in your school community at the time, which was the AI Empire still.
Yep.
By the way, that thing is still up and running.
The
Are you gonna stop
media?
paying? I think so. Or am I wrong? I just like quit like I want to say a week ago, and it was still up and running. I want to say, and then I hit like leave community or something.
Dude,
Make
to
sure
be
you're not
honest,
getting charged.
no, like it shouldn't be up and running.
Okay. So maybe it was like right before uh your last 30-day period ended or something like that.
It might like still have that placeholder there, but it's not something
Okay.
that was renew
Yeah.
it. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I know you're not actively running it, but like it took me, I'm embarrassed to say this, but like a month and a half to see that post. And I'm glad that you tagged me, because if you hadn't tagged me, I wouldn't have seen your post about doing the transition.
Yeah.
So, so
Yep.
then, so then I found out. And do you remember the first thing that I texted you a little while later? I was like, dude, I'm so glad that you made the switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
once again, you're not just talking, you just actually do the thing. Because there's so many people that are like, oh, I don't like this about school. I don't like that. I really, can't stand this kind of feature, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just keep talking, right? Like that's like a thing in America in general. Um, but you actually did it. And then you went to work.
Uh-huh.
And I was excited for you. I said, dude, I'm so happy that you made the switch, because I also see these little quirky things about school that I'm not happy about. However, in my mind, it's like, wait a minute, who says it's got to be one or the other, right? Like everybody's different. You had a different idea in mind, different skill set, different direction you're trying to take your business.
Yeah.
And so you went full blown, go high level.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
excited that you can teach me how to do it, because I want to get in on go high level, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing the insane amount of possibilities. Like it has a lot more features and ways to go about it than school.
Yes.
And if I'm being honest, I don't like one or two big people, even if they're the owners of the business. I don't like them having a lot of control over my business. If I, for some reason, get on these people's bad side for whatever reason, because my big mouth, I like saying stuff, um, they can immediately ban me. And
Right.
imagine if one day I am fortunate enough and I have a big community that's doing a lot of engagement, when I have a big community, I should say,
When
right?
we
Yeah.
do stuff,
Yep. And
we take action. That's what we do. We're
yeah,
action guys.
that's right. So I just can't have someone be or have that much control over my life, right? Because that's no different than working at a job where your boss has this insane amount of power over your livelihood. You know what I mean? So I think go high level, no one can kick me out, vote me off the island because of my big mouth.
Right. Right. You have, I mean, it's your business, right?
Yeah.
It's your,
Yeah. I own everything. And, my buddy's going through a thing right now. The gentleman I was telling you that is helping me grow my YouTube channel. Um, Literally, they're going after essentially every person that's got a community or anything named with the word school in it. And there's no clear cut rules or anything like that. Like even today, when you sign up and open up a new community, the terms and conditions don't even say that, right? These guys have not trademarked that word, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're going around and telling people, hey, we don't like you doing this. And guess what? What's happening to my buddy is like he's got to play ball. Otherwise, these guys can pull the plug on him and it's a done deal.
Right.
So I don't like
Right.
that.
You don't want that to happen when you've been putting
Yeah.
in the work and investing into a community.
Yeah. Dude, it's 9, 10 months of his life. He's going to
Yeah.
get wiped out if he doesn't play. And he's in a tough spot because I'm telling him, like, Elijah, dude, you got to push back against these people. They're essentially like bullies. They have this like low level nobody that my guy's communicating with. And I'm like, dude, this guy is trash. Like, don't even talk to him. Don't waste your time. But that kid is the gatekeeper, right? It's like some weird European kid, like 22 years old or whatever, that doesn't know jack shit about jack shit. And he's acting like the gatekeeper between my buddy and like Sam Ovens or whatever. And I'm like, this needs to be addressed by an adult because this is like a big deal. Like, it's your business. And my buddy's trying to be like super patient and he prays a lot and all that stuff. And I'm like, my blood's boiling. So the bottom line is I like a lot about it,
Mm-hmm.
but if you live a supercharged life, you don't want to put all your eggs in the same basket. Like, we're not just talking about investments, we're talking about everything else, right? You don't want to be
Yeah.
exposed to a really bad potential consequence that's outside of your control. So I like
Well,
the
especially that much time. Like if
diversification.
you're going to invest that much time and energy into putting together a community, you want to have control over it.
Yeah, right.
Simple as that.
So that's when I finally realized, man, just like, you know, YouTube or Instagram, for any reason, they can tell you this like super general thing, violate community guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
You're banned. You're done. Like,
Yep.
no. So I'm a huge fan of go investigate different types of like replacements for these platforms. I know that they're the big 800-pound gorillas in the room. I realize this, but so what? Like, it doesn't mean that you can go like on Rumble instead of YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you can go to what was the equivalent of Facebook that came out really long time ago? MeWe. You probably haven't even heard of it, but it's like a social media platform.
Okay.
There was one that was supposed to be competitor of when it was still Twitter back in the day. It's called Gab.ai, like similar format. Almost everything's got like an alternative. So you owe it to yourself to go and explore and investigate and try it out. And that's why I was so happy for you, because I've been hearing certain things about Go high level. Like, you need to understand my uh level of understanding is like tiny. And that's why we're doing the interview. Because
Give
I
yourself
need,
a little more credit than that. You know more than
well, I'm not like totally like, for lack of better words, like I'm not a 65-year-old grandpa, like I'm not that guy.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, these platforms and these SaaS companies are coming out of the woodwork at such an insane speed this day and age. And one thing is one upping the other thing. And it's like phenomenal stuff to where you can hardly keep up with that stuff, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, the whole point of the interview tonight is this: I'm like a little kid in a candy store, but I'm blind and I'm inside the store. So I know what's around me. I just need you to like open my eyes to it, give me like a 30,000-foot overview on it. And then
Sure.
I'll ask you some questions that are kind of like specific to my situation that may or may not apply to some other people.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that most people that are going to end up watching this video are going to be like more close to my level of understanding and expertise as opposed to yours, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 100%, man.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely happy just to be like, all right, so really, what is it, right? First of all, what the fuck is it? How is it effective? Why does it matter? Because I think you hit on it really there towards the end where it's like there's so many tools available. How do you figure out, what am I going to use to make this effective and really use it to optimize my day? Now, I think a lot of people have the expectation that AI exists, so they want it to be done for them. And I think that's kind of where, hey, there's a lot of power here, right? AI can do a lot, and I think there's a lot of automations. But today, AI is really not just like the do it for you solution. It's more of a I'm going to optimize what you do. Now, what's cool about high level is they've recently come to the point where AI can start taking actions. So it can trigger those workflows, so it can trigger an automation to where, previously if somebody came to your website and talked to your AI agent, they would just have that conversation, but you'd have to go in and look at the conversation, see what they talked about. But now it can, collect some information, first name, last name, phone number, email. It can ask them questions, it can schedule appointments. So AI is slowly becoming that employee that you can train to optimize your business. But the main thing I think people need to focus on today, especially if they're just getting started with AI or high level or tools or anything like that, is a lot of the concepts really remain the same. And if you start with a good foundation, that's going to be the most important thing you can do, whether it's AI, it's go high level, it's, anything marketing, anything digital going forward, is to really have a strong foundation in your FAQ docs. Like, what does your company do? What is Life Supercharged? What do you do? Who do you help? And it's funny, if you go back on Google's YouTube, they have a YouTube channel for Google, I think it's GCP or Vertex AI, but in December 2023, they came out and said, get your facts together, which is FAQ. Put your FAQ doc together. What is the AI empires? What does it do? Does it have a automation? Does it have AI? And you answer those questions. And what's funny is when we first started this kind of video tonight, you talked about why I started live streaming initially and just doing those 8-hour sessions. And what's funny is you mentioned how I didn't give a shit if anybody was watching. And that is the honest truth. And what's funny is when I was first doing that live stream, that wasn't like the goal on my mind wasn't to have viewers. I was doing the live stream because what people need to realize is when you're doing these live streams, you can transcribe the audio and then you can use it to train your AI agents. So, so I figured if I'm going to be doing this anyway, like if I'm going to be building a website or if I'm going to be training an AI chatbot or if I'm going to be teaching a tutorial on Google Analytics, like if I'm going to be doing it, I might as well live stream it. And then I can use the transcription to train AI assistants after. Because the goal is like you want to start with a good foundation of AI. So it's like, all right, if I'm going to be making videos for the AI empires, all right, what is the AI empires? Like, this is how you set up the calendars, this is how you set up the features. You use that transcription to train AI assistants.
Mhm.
So that was my whole reason for going live in the first place was, hey, if I'm going to be, if I can use transcriptions to train AI with, like, what's the best way to do it? And initially it was like Zoom calls, do the transcriptions like we do here. And then I was like, well, hang on. They transcribe it, your audio, if you go live on Twitch, you're using Streamlabs desktop. And that's where I figured out, all right, and then I can go to all these platforms at the same time and I can get the transcription. And then I was like, well, that's when I ran into Twitch and I was like, well, if I live stream on Twitch, I can also get all of the clips. So then my social media is done. I'm doing tutorials on my product. I'm getting transcriptions to train AI with. I'm probably getting some good promos, some good social media stuff. I'm getting landscape and vertical, right? Because when you're doing Streamlabs Desktop Ultra, you're getting landscape and vertical. And then so you're getting everything done in one. And that's really why I started going live streaming. And that's kind of leads into why I went to go high level. Um, because initially I've had some experience with high level in the past before it is what it is today. And where it's at today is why I started the agency, because it's like, what does more than this? And I couldn't come up with an answer. I mean, I
What?
stopped building my own app just because it has so much stuff.
Yeah. So now I'm starting to get a little bit of an idea. So for what you want to do for your business, correct me if I'm wrong, but school offers nothing, none of these features, except for maybe building courses on the website. And you can do that with uh, Teachable or Kajabi or Go High Level. But that's one tiny little thing that overlaps between all among all of these.
Mhm.
Go High Level also has like insane amounts of extra things you can do on top of, what you can do in Kajabi or, Teachable or whatever. Um, Dude, there's so many things that were going through my head right now when you were saying what you just said those last couple minutes. So first of all, what I found out recently is that the quality of the stuff that GPT spits out at you is directly proportional to the quality of the stuff you put into it. So it's garbage in, garbage out,
Yeah,
like straight up. Because I'm starting to be more conscientious about how I'm typing into this thing and how I'm talking to it, right? Like, do you want to talk to it as if it's a little 4-year-old child? Or do you want to talk to it like it's like some multiple PhD, math, professor or whatever the case is, and everything in between?
right.
And then I like what you say with the learn the foundations, learn the basics,
Yes.
because what I'm seeing becoming a problem is that AI is such a hot thing right now that people are literally tripping over each other to try and scale things because scale is a hot thing right now. But like they're putting the cart before the horse because in this day and age, people confuse um, building a business or building something solidly, starting with a good foundation and efficiently. They're confusing that with instant gratification. So everybody wants result now. They think that AI is the savior that is literally gonna 3D print your house in like 10 hours,
Dude,
right?
we can't skip past that. I have to, like, right there. I got to
Okay,
tell you about
go
this
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
because that is a great point to bring up. And I have worked very recently with a client, and the expectations that people have been getting from ChatGPT is fucking Looney Tunes. Like they're literally on a Zoom call. I've had a client be like, "Well, this is what I want done for my website," and they give me a list of Chat GPT or like what I want done on Go High Level, and they'll say, "Well, Chat GPT says you can do it," and it's like,
Oh,
"Well,
oh,
just because Chat GPT says you
oh,
can." Chat GPT could probably say I could run for president, but let's be honest, that's probably not in the cards, right? Like just because ChatGPT says you can do it doesn't mean you can do it. And what's the tough thing about being in the digital world too, especially with AI and like that instant, oh, it's just gonna work result that AI gives people that feeling of, it's like you still need to go put it into practice and you still need to go execute it every day. You can't just talk to it at night and come up with a plan and then think, hmm, that's gonna work. And the funny thing about people and their expectation is like when they're using some of these digital tools, they're like, well, can't you just do it like Fiverr or can't you just make it like Instagram? And it's like,
I'm not worth $1 billion. I don't make $1 billion
Right.
in revenue a year, buddy. They have like a team of like 200 people.
They got a team of developers. They have an unlimited budget, and people expect this for nothing, for
Yeah.
pennies. And it's like you
Wow.
you you got to stop with your expectations, people.
Here's why. Here's why. They expect it for nothing because they think that, hey, you got this amazing helper next to you, and what would have taken you 10 hours to do before should take you 10 minutes now. And that's not exactly how it works. That's the
Yeah.
thing that they don't understand. But once again, for people that don't live in your world, there is a whole bunch of, let's call them blind spots
Yes.
or things that they don't understand how like everything on the back end works. Just like I don't understand how a website gets created. I just look at a screen and it looks real nice and I can click on things that are important to me to click on and get me to the next thing. And that's it. Like I have no idea how many thousands of lines of code it takes to make it act this way or look that way.
Right.
So it's starting to become, it reminds me a lot of like how social media started as a way for people to connect with each other that are not close. We graduated college. Now we're scattered all over the country, but we have a Facebook group for a class of 2001, whatever, right? And that was before FaceTime as well. But as time went on, what happened? People totally shit on it and took it and made it like a thing that no longer resembles what Facebook was originally for. In fact, it did the exact opposite. It alienated people from each other. People started using Facebook instead of going to hang out at the neighborhood bar with their friends. They've been doing it for multiple years. Now they go post stupid stuff on Facebook and they're like, wow, I don't feel like going to the bar as often anymore because like, what am I going to talk to them about? They already know like my 30 posts on Facebook every day. Like they know everything about, you know what I mean? It's like, it
Yeah.
became like even like almost the exact opposite of what it was designed to be. So I don't know, like that's what I'm kind of starting to feel like with AI. There's got to be education of the masses on how to go about learning and what expectations to have and how to use it in the most efficient way. And we're early stages, obviously. This thing is going to evolve. But like I said, I just hate when people start acting as if this thing can do all these things in no time and do it better than whatever, you know? So,
Dude, okay, so let me kind of address that whole because I like where your head's at, and I love where you're going with this. I love your mentality. I love your thought process because you're right down the middle with where I'm at with this. I think I just started geeking out maybe a year or two before you, but
but
it's
you
really,
had the background, but you had the background too, though.
I just started learning.
You did.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wait a
just
minute. Hold on. We should have like started with that. You're right. You never had like a IT or CSI background. You said you were like in sales, yeah? Like you were in insurance?
Yeah, so I mean, really, full story on me, long story short, I've always just been kind of a nerd. Like I've loved tech, I love devices, gadgets, whatever. So that's just kind of been a lifelong thing. I've always tinkered with code and, just side projects, but not like formally trained or anything.
Okay.
Um, right out of college, my degree was in communications. Right out of college, I went into oil and gas.
Really?
Yeah, I was 12 years oil and gas, so I started just in the field. I was just calling
Colorado or where?
Colorado, North Dakota, Texas.
Mm,
A majority of it was what's called wireline.
mm-hmm.
Um, awesome industry, some of the best people in the world. Did a cup of tea in drilling. And then so I got into sales. That's where the sales background comes from. Went into field sales, then city sales, and had some unbelievable trainers in that organization, sales partners, just some unbelievable people. But post COVID, right? Oil and gas shuts down. There was no, I mean, I remember we went to Mexico on a bachelor party and I left. Oil was like 50, $60, whatever. We're coasting. We got cruise work and life is good. Come back and it was negative 30. I thought it was a joke. Like,
Oh, I remember that, dude. That was insane. Yeah, because what was it? They were paying you because nobody wanted to store it or something. Like all these tankers were just floating in at sea.
there was just no use for it because the
Yeah.
world shut down.
Yeah, dude. It's like since I have a finance background, right around that same time, we were pushing rates down hard, but there were already countries out there who had negative interest rates. So
Hmm.
literally, you were paying the bank money to keep your money in the bank. Like it was in Japan and I want to say Switzerland, they were like minus 0.5, minus 1%.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. And people can't fathom this.
Yeah.
But when I walk them slowly through like the framework of it and how it works, you understand it. And the oil was the same thing. It's just literally the reason oil costs a certain amount of money per barrel is because there's a gap where you have more demand than you have supply. And as soon as that inverts, now the market's flooded. And not every time there's more supply than demand, we get to see negative. This was just like an excessive like type of situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was wild, dude. That was insane.
Yeah. So
So
that,
were you wiped out? Were you like you came back to no job basically, or what? Because that only lasted for I want to say a month and a half. Like it started recovering. It
well,
went back
yes
to
and
like,
no, right? So like
but
it
you
went
wipe out a
negative.
lot of people. A lot of people go out of business during that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, really, I think COVID, like that whole year, right? Like oil prices,
Mhm.
they weren't negative, for more than a couple days or a month, but like they didn't come out of like the $10. Like nobody's drilling at $10, $20. I mean, it was a
Right.
couple of years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough. I made it through a lot of COVID, but coming out of COVID and firing back up, they went to a new executive team. This executive team came in, and it was tough to run. Oil and gas was kind of a war of attrition for service companies at that time, coming out of COVID where nobody's making money and then trying to raise prices, cost of living's more, like everything was just together is a little bit difficult on service companies. And so we ended up closing the doors.
Mhm.
From
And
there,
that was
that
a company you were with for 12 plus years?
so I was with that company, I think probably for 8 years.
Oh, dude. I've
Eight-
never had a job that lasted more than 2.5 years.
Really?
Dude, like I cannot. See, that's why I have my community because like I'm not a job type of guy. Like I cannot, there's always something that happens that is like as far as I'm concerned is like unacceptable. Like I will not allow people to treat me a certain way or the boss
Mhm.
to be, you know, low integrity person, for example, or a bunch of other things like office politics and gossip. I don't deal with that. Like I will leave. I will raise a big stink and they'll either fire me because I am, like I said, big mouth and I speak up my mind, or I'll just be like, forget this, like this is not worth it. But yeah, that's
100% sure. I bet you would love oil and gas. You would fit right in. I think that's
oof.
why. I mean, it's a great industry, and what people don't know, I mean, if they're not familiar with oil and gas, it's some of the sharpest people in the world. Like if you think about it, if you're not perfect every single day, that's the expectation. You're perfect every day.
Ooh.
I mean, and it's perfect to the point of like, we're doing some hard labor stuff,
Mhm.
but we're like getting it done effectively, efficiently as a team. And on the completion side, it takes everybody, right? And it's funny that new show Outland, man, how they're like, kind of making Hollywood out of oil and gas. It's like you don't really ever see anything that, accident wise, you don't, because if you have those injuries or those incidents, like you don't work. If you're, I think it was the expectation, like if you weren't 99 point something positive, like 99% for the entire year, and you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of repeatable like incidents or actions where things could go wrong, you don't work unless you're 99%. Like these guys are getting heavily drug tested. They're working 12 hours a day. So that industry is one of the ones where it's like, and you can call somebody a motherfucker and not get in trouble.
Yeah,
Like
right.
if you're having a bad day, it's like this is a bunch of fucking bullshit. Fuck you. See you tomorrow. And everybody's just kind of cool, everybody's works together. So it's more of a family than an industry when you get into oil and gas.
Mm.
So I think that's why I probably stayed for as long as I did.
Okay. So you had, yeah, you had a job where you were actually fulfill that, which I've never experienced. I never experienced that. And that's why ultimately and way too late, I decided like I need to be in business for myself.
Hmm.
Um, so let's stay on this subject. So was it then essentially COVID that made you make the jump into entrepreneurship, or like how did that all start?
So post COVID, so when it was when our third kid was born, our youngest daughter Madden, she was born, and then the next day, actually following her birth, I was laid off from oil and gas.
Oh,
Just the timing, right? No hard feelings there, but from there it was like, you know what? Since I have a little time, I'm gonna start looking into the entrepreneurship and what's going on. At the same time, I took the job at New York Life, just kind of a stopgap job, just to kind of see what's going on. But
I had plenty of those myself, brother. Like
it's
two-thirds of my jobs are stop gaps. And that's the trap that you fall in. If you're not careful and if you're not intentional with how you plan, at the very least, your career. But if I had a saying, I would say not plan your career, but plan how you make money for the rest of your life, right? That's the
yeah.
one thing that I was lacking. But sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm listening. I was just checking on the phone.
Yeah.
Uh, but that was the stopgap job in New York Life. But from there, that's when I really started going into it hard. And I think the first thing I did was, man, it's been a ride. So the first thing I did was a drop shipping website. So that's how I started learning like Canva and how to build a website. And
Oh,
I
okay.
got into that. So that was
So,
Shopify and Wix was the first one ever.
oh, dude, like yeah. So,
These nightmares too. Have you been down this road
no,
recently?
no, no. I'm I'm the idiot that knew about this stuff 7, 8 years ago, dude. And I didn't do the thing. But yeah, I'll tell you the one thing that I love about school is that you meet cool people like you, right?
Hmm.
I wish I had other cool kids to hang out with that we were equally as driven, that we were into not necessarily the same things, but similar things. And that's why I got so addicted to school in the first place, because I'd never seen one place where you can literally, it's like walking into a party and you see this dude is crushing it on YouTube and this dude is doing 25K a month off of Shopify, one product or whatever. This guy's doing, flipping shit on Amazon, etc. Right? Like that's what school is. I didn't have people to like support me, encourage me, hold each other accountable. So that's the part that I really like is the community.
Yeah.
So in Go High Level, you do have the same exact opportunity to make a community out of it, correct? Because the format's very, very similar, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I couldn't tell you who they look almost exactly the same. Like who copied who, but I'm not gonna get into that or throw out any allegations, but there's a lot of communities that look this similar, right? Like
Yeah.
System.io has communities,
Uh,
everybody has their own version of communities, but I think the difference between I think school and high level, like you said, school is a little bit more clicky, but school also does a very good job of fostering that sense of engagement. The
through
game,
gamification.
which also Go High Level has the exact same level system.
Mm.
You're going to be able to create communities. It has gamification. It has levels. You can price your products. You can have memberships to your communities. You can have one-time charges to your community. So go high level, the communities look a lot the same, right? And you can do a little bit more customization as far as the colors and the backdrop. So it's going to allow you to do a little bit more customization. But what school fosters a little bit better than I think high level does is there is that big like network. You can go find other communities pretty easily in school. Whereas the Go High Level communities, they're hosted on what's called Go Collab. So it is another network, but you do have to do a little bit more self promotion of your own communities to really kind of scale that. But the concept remains the same. Engage with other people, be an expert, put that quality content on there so people can find it and utilize it. It's the same thing. Engagement, gamification. You can put your YouTube videos, your pictures, your whatever you want, threads, events, Zoom links. Like it has all of school's functionality. School doesn't do anything that Go High Level does. Go High Level does school, and then it gives you the entire full business management platform. So it's like if
That's the control
Salesforce,
part.
if
You controlling
Salesforce,
that.
School, and Zapier had a baby, it'd be Go High Level.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, um, real quick question, just for my curiosity.
Yeah.
Um, so when did you last work a job? When did you start with
Oh man, I'd probably say it was like the end of 20. So what had happened, and you'll kind of dig this story. But during New York Life, I was driving some Uber, and
yeah.
I don't know if I told you this story about the guy with the biggest house I've ever seen. Have I told you that story?
No, no, you did not.
So at this time, I had seen like Chat GPT, and thought it was really cool. I'm just like geeking out with tech and seeing what it can do. And I was driving Uber that night, and I picked up a guy. Like I said, biggest fucking house I've ever seen. And
In where? Denver?
Colorado, yeah. And that, like, well, there's some big houses in Colorado. Like I live south of Denver. There's some big areas, some big
Sure.
neighborhoods.
Yeah.
This one was out kind of, south of where I live, and like I picked this guy up, and he seemed pretty cool. So, like I'm driving back to his house. It took a while to get there. Like it's not just sitting on a road. And I pick him up, and we're going to Denver, but it's going to be rush hour, so it's going to take a long time to get there.
Oh, captive audience.
So the guy gets in the truck, and I was like, the first thing I said to this guy, I was like, listen, man, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what the fuck do you do for a living? Like, this is the biggest fucking house I've ever seen. Like, I said it just like that, too.
Yeah.
And he kind of laughs. He jumps in, he laughs. He goes, I run an AI app development company. And I was like, you do what? He's like, yeah, I run an AI app development company. And I was like, saddle up, partner. You have no idea what you just got yourself into. So I started talking to him, and I'm like, listen, man, here's what I'm doing with GPT. And it was when GPT still, like, I ran into GPT before it had rules, which was really cool.
Yeah, because we're talking like end of 2020, over 4 years
Oh, so
ago.
this was like 2022.
Still, in terms of like technology age, might as well have been like 25 years ago.
Right. This stuff wasn't publicly available.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, school's been around since 2019 and didn't blow up until like Hormozy last year got in it like,
Yeah.
March-ish. But
Which is
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
and then go ahead.
so that was coming out, and I'm telling him like, listen, dude, I've been trying to put it because at the same time, right? I was like, GPT is really cool, but how do I use it in something? Because that's really how it's always going to be. Is like, how do I use it? How do I do something with it? And so I was trying to put GPT in a Bubble IO app, which at the time you could get it done, but it was a little rough looking, it was still kind of early, but it was fun to experiment with. And I told this guy, listen, I'm learning GPT and how to do it in Bubble. And he goes, at that point, I was like, that's just where I want to start. Now I'm going to ask you 1,000 fucking questions just to see, like, what are you doing? Where are the best developers? What are you guys about? And I mean, they're like a high level we have vision type AI to where we're making adjustments on the fly. Like they're the real deal, Holyfield. And I said, well, with where I'm at, like I'm a beginner. What should I go start learning? Like what should I do to start improving, my AI knowledge? Like what's going to be effective down the road? Like you live in fucking Donald Trump's Colorado house type of deal. Like this thing's fucking huge. What should I do? And he said, all right, go start learning Google Vertex AI. And I was like, what is that? He goes, just go get on Google Cloud Platform and just start taking lessons. I was like, all right.
Oh, because they
So
have the free.
this was probably June 2022, June, July. But long story short, around that time, I started taking GCP classes and Vertex
Hold on,
AI.
what's that? What's GCP?
GCP is Google Cloud Platform.
Got it. Okay. That's the free stuff he told you to go do.
Yeah, go start learning.
And you did it again.
Yeah.
I detect a pattern there, Jackie.
Yeah, he said go start learning it. So I was like, shit, okay. But I didn't
Yeah.
know enough, dude. It wasn't fully publicly available. But I didn't know enough to know that.
Yeah.
So I kept trying to figure this out and like get it to work and it wouldn't work. And I'm like, I just don't know
Oh,
enough. So I kept
yeah.
trying and doing and switching and then stuff started becoming publicly available and I was like, oh. Then I started figuring out, okay,
Now you started meeting some people.
just yeah, like how can we use this? And now like I know how it works and how it's going to benefit it because initially when you look at GPT on face value, right? A lot of people try and get stuff out of it. Like how can I,
You almost force it out of it kind of thing.
but what people got to think about is how could you train GPT in a way that GPT would learn to work for you, right? So like that's the whole goal I've been trying to work towards with AI the whole time is how do you make AI for you to be an individual optimizer? And like you talked about is all right, well you got to train it with good data. So that's where it comes to the live stream.
So that's kind
And
of what
what
I was saying
you-
about garbage in, garbage out, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a good foundation for your own AI, Vertex AI gives you like the Gemini models and all of these models that you can kind of start as a base model with Vertex AI. So it
Now,
doesn't.
can you explain what a model is?
So let's say you want, for example, a customer service agent for Life Supercharged, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Think about training an AI model like you would a new employee.
Oh, so instead of my Philippines VA, I train a bot like the Manny chat kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of, so like you would train this, like, so they give you the base model, right? So it'd be like if they gave you a car, but it's never been driven before.
Ah,
And they say, we
gotcha.
want you to teach this smart car how to drive, but you have to go out and drive it to show it what to do. So basically, with these models, you can take, so like Gemini, for example, or it was BART before, and there's like Lambda, Claude, they kind of do different things. But let's,
Gemini is Google, correct? And
yeah,
then Microsoft was which one?
GPT.
G Microsoft is GPT?
Yes.
What was that other one that you just mentioned?
Claude.
Claude? What is that?
There's like Claude AI, there's Lambda, which is Meta. I mean, everybody
Okay.
got
Okay. Everybody's got their thing. Yeah. And they all name them like human names too. Amazon's got like some whatever. But okay, go ahead. So
but
I'm
long
starting
story
to get the
short,
picture. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, long story short, let me drag this my live on TikTok. It's like, are you still active? Yep. Because I
Oh,
think
we're active.
definitely
We're
do
just getting into it.
definitely like watching your pupils because I'm looking at the computer screen and not my phone. But
Yeah.
um with these models, right? So on Vertex AI, they come kind of like base. Like we have all the knowledge, but you have the access to Gemini, but you got to point it in the right direction. So what I kind of try and tell people is like that's how you can really make AI effective is like, all right, here's what it can do, but now you got to give it the rails and like kind of the path to go do this stuff for you. And over the course of these years and like going into websites and Flutterflow apps, and I mean, high level even a year ago versus where it's at today is drastically different. And what high level's really, really done, and they've succeeded really well at, is putting AI to be effective in the right places to optimize your day, right? So they allow AI to communicate with customers through text message, email, your Facebook page, Instagram. It can answer phones, and it's going to be able to make phone calls pretty soon. They've allowed it to go into automations. So like let's say I move a contact in my CRM from first contact to second contact. Okay. Have GPT write a message, email it to me, and I can just send it to somebody. Right? So they've aligned AI to be effective in your day. Like their marketing, for example. Like if you have a tough time coming up with marketing scripts, it'll write that for you. You just record it and you go to work. So they've really done a good job at aligning AI and automation with your day so you can do stuff just at a much, much faster pace and is still brand specific. You don't have to go back and reprompt it. You don't have to go back and do anything. And then what I really try and teach people how to do is to drive traffic to AI, not with it. So, like, for example, I have AI customer service. So, if somebody goes to the website, has a question, they can ask that AI. That AI can help them book a meeting, they can find out information. Like, when we were talking about what do I do for prospecting or outreach, well, just go do the initial engage,
Mhm.
like on Instagram and Facebook page. Like, so with Go High Level, if you integrate those and then you train your AI on what you do, you basically just go to Instagram and say, "Hey, how's business? How you doing? Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?" And your AI takes over in the back end. So you just have to initiate the conversations and then let AI take over.
Dude, this is nuts. I literally remember arguing with a guy on Instagram about a month and a half ago. He had an ad with a lead magnet.
Hmm.
I'll give you a free guide for whatever. I totally don't even remember what it was. And then that's how they slide in your DMs. Is that what the kids call it these days?
Yeah, they're gonna slide into your DMs.
Slide into your DMs because
Get
otherwise
into
you
those
can't DM
DMs.
people, right? You can't
Get
randomly.
into those DMs.
Okay.
Yes.
So literally it says, here's your free resource. You know, it was either, I mean, I'm sure he collected email as well. And so like they let you click within the DM and download like a PDF or something, or he emails it to me as well, right? But then the guy starts talking to me, and we literally must have exchanged like 40 back and forths.
Hmm.
And the guy finally tells me, by the way, this was my AI you've been talking to. And I'm like, you're full of shit. And I started like hardcore, like legitimately trolling him, right? Like I was like almost
Well,
making fun of him because of me like knowing for a fact there's no way it was an AI. So I was talking shit to the guy. I'm like, you're a liar, and ended up unsubscribing from his thing, like blocking him. I was so mad. I was so mad because I was convinced there's no way that this stupid thing was AI. And to this day, I just don't know. Is it possible that it was that good? Like legitimately. And of course, you don't have the specifics, but just trust me, it was literally 40 text exchanges back and forth.
dude, I can show you well, I'd have to ask for this lady's permission, but I can show you a conversation.
Yeah. Just tell
Uh,
me if that's a possibility. I guess it sounds like it is.
100%, it happened to me because my AI responds through text.
Yeah.
So if people text me, they're talking to an AI.
Okay, let me ask you this.
He came back and said, like, I don't know if I'm talking to you or your AI. Like, who am I talking to? And I was like, you're talking to the AI. You haven't talked to me.
So let's talk about the implications of that. Two things.
Yeah.
I think, is the government, do you think at some point going to come in and start requiring that people disclose at some point, hey, you're now talking to a bot? If enough people get PO'd like me, that I have no idea who I'm talking to, and I'm really wanting to talk to the person. Because the thing that I can't stand is how technology is getting in between human to human interaction, right?
Mhm.
Like when I like find someone that's interesting that I want to talk to or whatever, I really don't want to talk to your stupid bot. I want to know
No.
what you're about.
Yeah.
So at the very least, there's got to be either a disclaimer that maybe it says, hey, this is a bot that you're talking to. And when the human comes online, you're going to see this thing happen. Like there's going to be this kind of indication that you're now actually talking to a human. You know what I mean?
Dude, and I think you're right down the middle. I don't know if there's ever going to be any regulatory. There probably is at some point because just the level of effectiveness that it's already at. Like,
Wow. The level of how real it is.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. How real it is. And
Yeah.
again, that's so this is the other reason significantly and why I started live streaming. Um, because at the point where AI is and what AI does, I felt, and this was actually driven from some of the leaders that I follow in AI and watching what they do. Um, it was mentioned, if you're working in this is from very like people that make me look like a fucking window licker. And I'm not like a genius by any means or anything, but I can work my way around a coloring book. But what some of these leaders were saying was you're gonna have to start going live and just prove it because a lot of times what people are gonna start thinking is, if they see stuff online, it's gonna be AI, it's gonna be fake. There's gonna be that distrust in it, which obviously should be there, right? Like that's good that human nature has that. And with AI, it is so effective and it is to that level that I think it's more important than ever. And I'm so glad these platforms have live stream capabilities because it's not hard to fire up your phone and jump on TikTok live or fire up your and be on Twitch and be on YouTube. Like you just open your phone and do it.
I can't go YouTube live yet. I need 50
You
subscribers.
we're gonna we're gonna get you there. All right. You gotta open up. We're gonna have to put your links out there. We're gonna have to fucking do some shit, make posts every day.
Tell
But
me, dude. Tell me because I need it. I need it. I like the idea of YouTube Live. I'm following this really, really cute girl uh that does lives from
yeah,
her car actually. And
yeah.
it's not just that she's hot, that she's getting the views. She's actually saying stuff that's like it's pretty motivational and inspirational.
Well, and I
But
think what people have to realize is there's so much badass technology, but still
yeah,
the most effective thing as far as prospecting is just human interaction.
my point exactly.
But you got to use AI to do all the other shit. So use AI and automation to optimize your day and your
Mhm.
customer service and your monotonous bullshit tasks and your email drips and your responses online and then do everything else like do your sales and prospecting as a human.
Mm.
Sales and prospecting to the like I will go blind in the face saying this will never be succeeded by AI. I
Okay.
think AI is going to open a lot of doors, but at the end of the day, if people aren't comfortable just live streaming, and that's where it's going to go. I mean, gone are the days of just making fucking social media posts, like gone.
Mm.
People are thinking about trying to learn how to make a post on social media. You might as well just skip that bullshit and go straight to live streaming.
Do you think that there are enough eyeballs out there to watch all the live streaming that people do on there.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I think there's more eyeballs. You know how many people in this world just creep on people and don't actually interact or engage? There's
Yeah.
it. You just set up your phone and start live streaming, like people are gonna see you.
Yeah.
And with the rise of AI and all this capability, just do it. Like, and the funny thing, like you're talking about how it's like, I go out and I take these actions and stuff. It's like, honestly, dude, I just set up my phone, start live streaming, and see
Push
where
the
the fuck
button.
it goes. Like,
Yeah.
I get all these videos just because I'm live streaming while I'm building a website or I'm live streaming while I'm building AI. Like, it's just what you're doing every day. I just happen to just turn on live stream so people can watch.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, if we're talking about AI and we're talking about automation and we're trying to make people's days more effective, give them that flexibility, that optimization, that different ability to either create software or SaaS, like, well, then let's be fucking effective, and if that's, hey, we're going to give them this software, why not live stream it and just do what you do? I mean, I've been trying to tell everybody that, like, if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, now here's something to think about, and I want your opinion on this, especially with AI. I think,
Hey, if you're about to drop something major on me, are we going to do it on a video? It's going to be all over the interwebs.
oh yeah, this is important for people to know, I think.
Okay. I was half joking.
No, I mean, if
If you're
we're
gonna
doing
drop
this
some major
stuff,
thing, give me a little bit of head start, like 6 months, and then we'll
no, if
put it
we're
out
if we're
there.
doing product
Just
drops
kidding.
or major update drops,
Yeah.
we'll do that behind doors. But
No, no, no. Yeah, hit me.
what I think is so cool about the communities and that rise in online communities and trends and coaches and having this world of connectivity is that education and actually teaching and experts in individual areas, people are like, oh, it's going to take, AI is going to take our job because it's going to learn. And it's like, you know what? It might optimize your job, but those roles are actually now more important than ever because you're going to need those experts to prove it. You're going to need people who can actually show up and prove it because of that trust with GPT just said I could fucking do it. And it's like, well, just because GPT said you can do it doesn't mean you can do it.
Hey,
Here's how
I
you
mean,
actually have to prove it.
they see all these people making millions of dollars online, and they're like, hey, I see this guy do it, therefore I'm gonna do it, right? Like that's been my one thing with school, having just a bunch of nobody little pimply teenagers going on there and throwing like a $5,000 offer, right? And people buying it. And hey, I'm man enough to admit I'm a little jealous, but at the same time, and this is speaking from experience, I might have mentioned this to you, but I paid one of those money and they have no idea about anything after that. How to be a decent human being, how to treat your customer, how to be flexible and adaptable. They're just phenomenal at marketing and
Mhm.
conveying the message that, like, hey, I'm your guy. I know this thing and I'm worth this much money. Like,
Well,
that's
and
the
you also
thing.
got to think about ad spend too, right? Like how much
Yeah.
are you spending on ads?
Well, I met him in
Get to
school.
a certain point, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. Once you get to a certain point, you can just get that ROI on ad spend right back to you from whether
Yeah.
your communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Let me circle back to your guy with the big house. Finish up
okay,
that story. And then what I want to do is we're going to stop the recording, take like a couple minute water break or whatever, and then we're going to come back. And what I want to do is like get into the nitty gritty of go high level. I'm going to have you drive around, show me some stuff, see how it's applicable to, someone in my situation,
yeah.
someone that's newer to the online thing, whether it's coaching or something else. Just give some like real life actionable examples.
Oh, dude, I'd
That
love
work?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So let me ask you this. How long was that ride?
That guy was probably stuck in my truck with me for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Was he going to the airport?
No, he was actually going downtown to take his team to a company dinner.
Oh, nice. Okay. Was it anything like specific they
No,
were
they,
celebrating? No? He just drove an hour and 45 minutes to hang out with his people.
yeah. Well, I
That's
mean,
nice.
he's the director of the company. I can't
Yeah.
name anything, but he doesn't live very close to Denver. And
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Almost
yeah,
two
man, I
hours.
mean, he went full Uber and, good on him being responsible. He's like, I'm gonna be doing some drinking with my team. So I was like, dude, call me. I'll take you back home, brother, if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Except for you can't like I don't think with Uber you can recommend like a request a person.
No, you can't. It's just
Yeah.
whatever's close.
Yeah, which is well, it's not just close, it's like the algorithm looks at a bunch of other stuff. But good tip.
Yeah.
Was it your biggest tip you ever gotten at least? Like did he
Dude, it was talk about a small world too. So at my previous company, my oil and gas company, I was on the technology team because I had the field experience, and then there was a team of like he's a really good mechanical engineer and some developers. We were working on some tech, but one of the guys off that team that was a developer actually worked for this guy's company. So it was like we knew him, it was like, oh yeah, small world, like we worked together at, yada yada. So it was a cool connection. That guy, for the size of that fucking place, dude, he was the most down to earth, just regular dude, shooting the shit.
the millionaire next door, right?
Hyper intelligent, you could tell. Like this guy, I was like, we're the best developers in the world. He's like, Mexico for sure. He's like, those guys will put you to sleep. I was
Are
like,
you
oh,
serious?
uh-huh.
Not
Mexico.
Russia, not India,
Not Russia,
Mexico.
not India. Russia, Mexico.
Dang, that's crazy.
I
Did he tell
know.
you how big his company was?
No, but I mean,
Small. It's a startup.
no,
No? Hmm.
they're a good size.
But not public.
Uh, yeah.
Really? Dang, dude.
They
What a cool experience. Yeah, that's awesome.
The funniest thing, bro, and I'll tell you this, so in Denver, have you ever heard of the Denver Tech Center?
No.
So it's in like Lone Tree, kind of by Park Meadows, but there's this like big techie industrial area in Denver. A
I
bunch of
know Denver is a tech hub. Yeah, I know there's a lot of big tech stuff there. Yeah.
so I would drive Uber like during lunch or something, doing like Uber Eats, but like going through the DTC because that was where I lived, it was just right in that area. You'd pick up a lot of tech people that are flown in from different countries. And they don't, have vehicles, so you're just driving them everywhere. And it's like you're just going around these compounds of buildings. But like I met a really cool dude that worked for Dish that was in charge of networking for their 5G project. I met some guys that were doing some really cool battery tech. So I'm telling you, driving an Uber was like one of my most, especially in that area, I guess, but one of my most eye-opening things because it's like you meet all these incredible people from like India, like you're saying Mexico. You're meeting all of these people that are like, this technology is coming up and this, and you're just like, you're driving around in Uber, learning more about fucking technology than is publicly available because people just want to hang out and talk.
Yeah.
Like that was by far the number one job, just to like hang out and shoot the shit with people was driving Uber.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes you realize like I always wonder, right? Like I always wonder who are these people with so much money that they're able to pay X, Y, and Z for this, and that, right? Like to me, it's unfathomable right now. The other day there was an article I was reading. They said 20% of new cars that were bought in Q4 of last year had a car payment of $1,000 a month.
Jesus.
Like insane. The average car payment right now is $730. The average used car is like 560. I'm like, who are these people?
Making
So
that money.
that's what I'm saying. So that's people making 15 grand a month, 30 grand a month, working a W-2, right? Like we know it's possible in the coaching business.
Mhm.
You know, there's people in school talking about making 6 figures a month, right? Um, but like for a W-2 job, you know, like I don't meet that many people that work a W-2 that are making, you know, 400,000 a year, 800,000 a year, whatever the case is. I don't live in that kind of an area, but you know, I understand how they would be like in the big tech hubs, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like it always makes me wonder because, as you know, I'm very anti-job. I'm anti-W-2. I don't believe that it's for more than like 10-15% of the people.
Right.
I think everybody should be, you know, in business for themselves. And you know, especially maybe even people like that, because they have this insane skill. The concept is still the same, whether uh you make 50,000 a year or 500,000 a year, anyone can go and start their own thing, you know.
Right.
But I just probably only shaking like two people's hands that have these kind of jobs. Like it's a W-2 and they're happy and fulfilled and they feel like they're making a difference and there's no drama at work, gossiping, no office politics. Like I'm like, yeah, I want to interview some people like that.
Yeah, you're gonna be hard pressed to just find somebody that is completely content, and having that type of system set up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Because
think
I
that's the appeal, like you're talking about with the online, with the coaching, with the development, is like you can set your own hours. Now, is it easy to get there? Absolutely fucking not.
you
It's
got to make the jump.
yeah,
So the cash flow quadrant of Robert Kiyosaki's second book, first book, best book ever for entrepreneur, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Second book he came out with is the cash flow quadrant that talks about employee mentality. Then you
uh,
quit work and you start doing your own thing, but you are essentially self-employed, meaning that you're still working 60 hours a week or whatever, trading time for dollars.
yeah,
So you got to make the jump from that into the next quadrant, which is business owner. And that's when AI comes in, or you hire a VA and start outsourcing all the mundane tasks, and you just start focusing on your highest per hour task that you get paid, right? So a lot of
yeah,
people get stuck in the self-employment quadrant, thinking that they're a business owner, but they don't understand that they're actually stuck in a self-employment situation. And the only thing that you did was you fired your boss, but you're still doing the same thing, which is trading money for hours. Like if I were to start a landscaping business, right? Like I would be like trying to get as many clients a day so
yeah,
I can make certain amount of money, you know, and it's still like I can be out there in summertime for like 12, 13 hours a day in 100-degree heat. And yeah, it's going to be a nice payday, but you're slaving yourself. You're still not at home with your family, right?
right.
And you could have someone that's doing that work for you. If you're good at negotiation, you know, with how much you charge people, you can have, you know, some high school kid doing that. And, you know, maybe he works a lot and then you just collect a little bit of money or whatever. But the point is, we want to be, we want to have freedom, right? Like we all need to have time to do stuff with our families. Like that's, I think, the biggest why for most of us. That's why
That's
we're doing this.
100%.
Yeah.
That's 100% what it's about. And then how do we use AI and automation to do it?
Yeah. To take, you know, my effort and input and I can now spend that on activity that makes me 10 times more per hour, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's take a quick like 2 minute break. I need to go check on my
Let's take a
son.
10-minute break.
Huh?
Take a 10-minute break.
10? You want to do 10? Okay.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna
I'm
shut
gonna
it
go
down
make a
right.
coffee.
You're making coffee this late at night?
Dude,
You're that guy, huh?
bro.
Respect, bro. I'm a
Well,
big
dude,
coffee guy myself. I'm a big coffee guy, but I just my palate after like 5 in the afternoon, I just don't feel like coffee anymore, you know.
yeah.
But yeah,
I'll
that
be back. I'll jump on 7:20, 7:36.
yeah, I'll leave it open. I'm just gonna stop the recording.
Cool. See you in a little bit.
All right, see you in a bit.